Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video, and yes, my part 1 review of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, Obi-Wan Kenobi, finally and at long last, because this show has arrived, and with, the first 3 episodes, when it first, debuted, it first began on YouTube, like, we had 2 episodes, and now, as of right now, we've, episode 3 being the latest one, and literally, because the title of the episodes are part 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., yeah, and there's 6 episodes, so pretty much so for part 2, my part 2 review, it'll be the last part, of my review of Obi-Wan Kenobi, because just like with this, I'll be reviewing the last 3 episodes. So, for part 1, we are looking at parts 1, 2, and 3, and these were some really good episodes. Part 1, of course, is where it begins, like, Obi-Wan, he's on Tatooine, he's watching over Luke, and, especially, like, things between Owen and Obi-Wan, not so good, and the Inquisitors that appear in this, fantastic, and, we have the Grand Inquisitor, of course, and, the 5th brother, and this one Inquisitor named Reva, and Reva is determined to find and locate Obi-Wan, and aside from that, we also have, Alderaan and Leia being the, main, an important focus on the series, and even, like, say, Jimmy Smits, he returns reprising the role of Bail Organa, and even say, at one point, Princess Leia and her floating, hovering droid named Lola are kidnapped by, these, like, smugglers, or I guess, and one of them played by Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Back to the Future fans like myself would know him best for, Needles, from Back to the Future parts 1, not just parts 2 and 3, sorry, and it was cool seeing him in Star Wars, definitely, not to mention the other fellow Back to the Future, like, cast member, Christopher Lloyd, the Mandalorian, so Princess Leia and her droid Lola, they're captured. Bail Organa asks Obi-Wan for help, and he's not really wanting to do it, but he is convinced, and of course, in part 2, that's when he does save Leia, and especially the interaction, between Leia and Obi-Wan is brilliant, I should say. And also, in part 2, we get some cameos in this. Tamara Morrison plays, makes a cameo as a veteran clone trooper, a homeless clone trooper that Obi-Wan stumbles upon and he gives credits to. And Obi-Wan, comes face-to-face with somebody offering him, basically drugs. And, this girl with, like, this pinkish hair and I think, like, markings on her face, whatever, is played by Esther McGregor, one of Ewan McGregor's daughters. So that's really cool, a father and daughter moment, and especially in Star Wars, don't you think? Even at one point, like in part 2, Reva, like, puts a bounty on Obi-Wan, and the Inquisitors are not pleased with her, because she's basically being way over the top and just being just a psychopath, you get my point. She's taking tracking Obi-Wan too far, basically. Obi-Wan at a couple of times is exposed and he's chased down, even when Leia, mistakens like Obi-Wan for, being, like, the bad guy and not being trusted, but she's wrong, because Obi-Wan was sent by her father to help and save Leia. And even say when, at one point, Obi-Wan does save Leia from falling to her death, because as they're running and Obi-Wan's trying to catch up with her, chase her, she at one point is holding onto a pole, she slips and falls, and Obi-Wan, after so many, 10 years basically, kind of like not using the Force, he uses the Force to save Leia. And at one point, near the end of part 2, Reva is this close to, killing Obi-Wan, but the Grand Inquisitor stops her, and out of nowhere, Reva, yeah, I think I'm saying that right, Reva, not Reva, Reva kills and stabs the Grand Inquisitor. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is confusing. We know he appears in Star Wars Rebels, and he dies in Star Wars Rebels in the last episode of Season 1. Why here? Like, well, obviously, you know, they're going to find a way to show how he survives, I guess, and if there's going to be any similarities to how Fennec Shand survived after what happened to her in the first season of The Mandalorian. Even my dad was telling me about this, so, you know. Reva shouts at Obi-Wan as, you know, him and Leia, they're escaping. They're on this, like, cargo ship that she's shouting at Obi-Wan, mentioning Vader, and basically Obi-Wan realizes that Vader is still alive. Anakin, and the last shot, we see Anakin in the Bacta tank. Hayden Christensen, it's amazing, and the breathing sound, awesome. What a way to end the episode. And leading up to part 3, where we get a lot of Vader this time, you know, more Vader, and James Earl Jones voicing Vader, of course. Even say when Vader was announced to appear in Obi-Wan Kenobi, I knew not only were we getting the return of Hayden Christensen, but I knew, and there was no doubt about it, that James Earl Jones was going to voice Darth Vader. Because you can't have Darth Vader, you know, if you're going to have Darth Vader, to put it this, if you're going to have Darth Vader, you have to have James Earl Jones. So, you know, he is the voice of Darth Vader without a doubt. And, you know, Vader, because there's a bit of, Reva contacts Darth Vader, you know, in his castle on Mustafar. We get the return of that, you know, his castle on Mustafar. And Vader says to Reva that, you know, that he will give her the position of Grand Inquisitor, like if she succeeds, etc. You know, if she fails, then she will not live to regret it, you know, as Vader says. And, you know, Obi-Wan and Leia, they're on this planet, and, you know, they hitch a ride on this, this alien, like, it's like basically Star Wars version of a mole, I want to say, because of the nose, named Frick, like Freck. I'm sure that's how you say it, Frick. And actually, to my surprise, I didn't realize this until I checked IMDb. Zach Braff does the voice of Frick, like his cameo in this. That's awesome. And at one point they're like literally like about to be exposed, and they're, you know, Obi-Wan is fighting off these stormtroopers who join in on the ride at one point, and, you know, this probe droid comes in, you know, Obi-Wan fires and kills the stormtroopers with his blaster. More stormtroopers, more reinforcements come in, a couple of stormtroopers, and this one Imperial officer woman, you think she's going to fire on Obi-Wan, but nope, she fires on them. You know, she's on the good side and helping Obi-Wan. And Tala, I think that's how you say her name, she's a pretty good character so far. I already, like, began liking this character. And she has, like, a giant, like, you know, body droid with her, you know, helping as well. And a little bit later, Darth Vader and the Inquisitors arrive, and, you know, Vader, like, kind of choking and killing a few of the villagers. And, you know, Tala helps Leia escape because of this transport ship arranged for Leia to take her back home. Obi-Wan and Vader come face to face once again in a lightsaber duel, Vader taunting him, and, you know, epic dialogue from Vader, "You should have killed me when you had the chance." And basically at one point Vader, you know, tortures Obi-Wan by having Obi-Wan feel the same pain as he did when he was burned, because basically Vader causes fire to happen. He uses the dark side / force on Obi-Wan, dragging him into the fire, and, you know, "Your pain has just begun." I think that's how Vader says it. You know, having him just, you know, feel the pain that Anakin had felt, you know, being burned. Darth Vader, basically. And even interesting, because as I've, you know, realized, and, you know, that Darth Vader, you know, planned this all the time, you know, like, I guess in the first 3 episodes, like, you know, he did like injure Obi-Wan, but he wasn't, you know, he didn't kill him, you know, had he would have if he wanted to. That's what I'm supposed to say. But he allows Obi-Wan to be rescued. And, of course, he knew not to kill him right there and then, and even especially because what happens in A New Hope. So that was the moment right there for Darth Vader to kill him. Obi-Wan allowed Vader to kill him on the Death Star, etc. And yeah, even though, because still, we don't, only so far we have 3 episodes. We'll see what happens in the next 3, and, Vader popping up again, and if there's another duel between Vader and Obi-Wan, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And near the end of the episode, Tala saves Obi-Wan, and along with the droid. Leia is almost about to, get back home, but Reva kills the pilot, the transport ship, and that's just how it ends. Like, Leia runs away from her, and Reva goes after her. Just, wow, what a way to end that episode. But some of the cast of the characters, okay, so we've talked about, like, say, the story and what's going on. The cast of characters, like, okay, we have the return of, say, as I said, like, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, and the Grand Inquisitor, Rupert Friend. He plays the Grand Inquisitor. And Moses Ingram, if I'm saying her full name right, she's Reva, the seventh sister, and one of the Inquisitors. Bonnie Pisay, if I'm saying her name right, as Beru Lars, and Joel Egerton as Owen Lars. It's good to see them again. Let me see. And Luke Skywalker, played by Grant Feely. So far of what we got of him. And Jimmy Smits, as I said. Flea as Vect Nokru, if I'm saying that right. And also Bail Organa's wife, Bria, played by Simon Cassell, if I'm saying her full name right. And Vivian Lyra Blair, who plays Leia Organa. She's so far fantastic as Leia. Tia. I got that wrong. It's Tia, not Tala. I'm sorry. Played by Indira Varma. And, because, again, I've been enjoying the character of Tia so far. And also, like, I almost forgot to mention, like, because, C-3PO, he made a small, quick cameo in Episode 1 on Alderaan. I don't see why not. And it, it's good for 3PO making a cameo, and we didn't see R2. Well, I mean, maybe we will. Who knows? Like, seeing R2 and 3PO together on screen, maybe later in Obi-Wan. And also, the music is really good in this, and not to mention the Obi-Wan theme that was written and composed by John Williams. Fantastic. It was great for John Williams to come back to the franchise to write another piece of music for Star Wars, and what better way but to write Obi-Wan's theme. Yeah, and you never know, maybe John Williams can write another piece of music for Star Wars. We'll just have to wait and see. Some pretty cool moments I want to mention, like, for example, how Episode 1 started. It started with this montage, look back at the prequels, and leading up to, and at the end of where it ended off, Obi-Wan giving Luke to Beru and Owen, and, Obi-Wan trying to reach out to his master, Qui-Gon, and maybe possibly later in the show, we may get an appearance of Liam Neeson. Who knows? You never know, because Star Wars, Lucasfilm always keeping things tippy-top secret. You get the idea. Some epic fighting moments, sequences, and even when, say, Flea's character got killed by the Grand Inquisitor. Well, so much for Flea being in Star Wars, I guess. And, I did mention this. Tamara Morrison making a cameo as a veteran clone trooper. Not to mention, he was actually wearing a costume, clone armor. Unlike, say, how in the prequels, he wasn't wearing a costume at all. Every single clone, and even, say, when he didn't have the helmet on, that was all CG and motion capture, I guess. Well, probably just... I want to say motion capture, like he probably was wearing a motion capture suit. I don't see why not. Also, yes, like near the end of part 2, that's the title of the episodes. Part 2, there is a bit, like, Obi-Wan mentions to Leia that, that she reminds him of somebody, and which obviously we are to assume that he's mentioning Duchess Satine. Like, I was, like, thinking, well, I'm not sure if I don't know if he's, like, talking about Padme. Like, I feel like most likely he's talking about Duchess Satine, because, like, Leia's personality and so on. You get my point. So that was very nice, mentioning of Duchess Satine, who Obi-Wan did have, did fall for, and she fell for him. So, I'm trying to, was there anything else, like, oh yeah, another thing is, like, remember in A New Hope, Luke had that toy ship, and right when that sequence started with 3PO having that oil bath, and Luke was playing with that toy ship. Well, that toy ship came from Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan gave that toy ship to Luke. That was really cool right there. And not to mention, like, oh gosh, what's his face? Oh yeah, there was one character who was one with the Force, and he was an ex-Jedi, I guess you could say, played by Kumail Nanjiani, if I'm saying his last name right. He plays Hija, and I hope I said that right too. He does help out Obi-Wan, and, because he's kind of a bit of a troublemaker, I guess you could say. And I didn't realize this until, even say, after watching Part 3, a bit of a mentioning of Quinlan Voss. Yeah, that one, like, Jedi who has the long hair and, like, the yellow, like, tattoo stripe, that goes around his nose, like nostrils, as I'm visual, for visual. That, and apparently, yeah, because he did make a small cameo, brief appearance in Phantom Menace on Tatooine, and he would have a prominent role in an episode of Season 3 of The Clone Wars. Maybe, possibly, we're gonna get Quinlan Voss in Obi-Wan Kenobi? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. I've been hearing about that, like a Jedi is gonna show up, and it could be Quinlan Voss. We'll just have to wait and see. But with all that being said, this has been my Part 1 review of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And what about you? And what about you guys? What do you think of Obi-Wan Kenobi so far, of the first 3 episodes? And what did you think of my review? Leave comments and give this review a like, as always. And of course, as you know, Part 2, I'll be reviewing the last 3 episodes, episodes 4, 5, and 6, parts 4, 5, and 6, yeah. So anyways, so again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of my Part 1 review, that is, of Obi-Wan Kenobi. More reviews coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and I'll see you guys in the next video/review. Take care, peace out, and may the Force be with you.